We are Lucy and Andrea, both 3D artists currently based in London. We decided to start this podcast together as we aim to motivate and uplift creatives by sharing our knowledge and that of other designers.
So if you're passionate about growing your creative skills, staying inspired and navigating the challenges and rewards of the creative career, this is the podcast for you. In this particular pilot episode, we're going to be chatting a little bit about our journey into the creative industry, about some specific moments in our careers as well, and how that's shaped our practice so far. So yeah, let's dive straight in. And I know it sounds like such a boring question, but I reckon it just says a lot about someone. And yeah, when we get to know about their background and what is it that actually led them to 3D. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into 3D design.
I actually was not ever going to get into a creative career to begin with. I studied A-level biology and chemistry with the hope of doing pharmacology. And then I had...
That's crazy.
I know. I'm so glad I'm not doing that. Then I had this light bulb moment when I went to the open days and thought, I can't spend the rest of my life in a lab coat. So I spent that year trying to change course to do graphic design. I then started one day doing an art foundation at Coventry before I was accepted at Leeds a week later. So I got all my stuff together and rushed up to Leeds. And then I was on the graphics course and the rest is history. But yeah, that I do feel that it was a course that was more about conceptual thinking. And that is really something that they pushed. It's all about the way you think and your ideas, and that's what will get you hired, and that's what will make you stand out amongst other creatives. And that, that's all well and good. And for me, that's kind of my dream because I'm so airy fairy and floaty and I love ideas and thinking. So I was in my element, but actually by the time I got into my first internship, I realized I was falling behind on the practical skills because it was never something that was pushed while studying. So yeah, during my first year in London at a digital agency, I relied heavily on the other designers there to teach me on the practical stuff. And yeah, that did come with time. And then I did end up flourishing with my conceptual thinking and presentation. So all of that worked out in the end. It's just, I think the teaching could have really been more balanced. And you do need both practical and conceptual ways of working.
For sure. But I think you also that's what your first jobs are there for as well, I guess.
Yeah, it's true. But I feel like if you can't actually deliver the goods, and as an intern, you aren't necessarily as relied on for your ideas as the practical work.
Oh no, that's so true. Yeah,
it was definitely a challenge. And then, then I did some more full-time jobs in branding studios and web design. And I thought that I should be living my dream. And this is everything that I've always wanted, but it really wasn't quite satisfying my creative needs in the way that I had imagined. I then, after a few years working full-time, went freelancing. And then it kind of opened the doors to lots of other types of industries and creatives. And that's when I first got to learn about Cinema 4D. And my friend gave me like this very one-stop shop quick lesson of how to create a street scene because he did 3D design but for fabrication. And I got really excited by it. But that was I was just dabbling and I hadn't really fully committed. So I carried on freelancing, and the idea of jumping into 3D was still feeling quite out of my depth and having the time to do so. Like it's not an easy learning curve when you just do 2D. And then I took the full dive and commitment to it by saving up quite a lot of money to stop working for a period of, I think, 4 months to just learn the software. And I really got stuck in. I got my little studio in Dalston. I became an absolute hermit. And I was just on back-to-back tutorials. And was having the time of my life as well. Like I knew that I'd found my thing and it was really exciting. And then the following year, I slowly started to get some projects that were 3D and then still getting some money from other branding and digital work to support me. So the transition was slow, but it was definitely happening. And then, I met you not long after at an agency, and that's, how we started our friendship. And then I moved on to Inertia, where I worked for almost 2 years. Yeah, back freelancing again, but with a completely new perspective on it. And
That's cool.
yeah, it's been a dream. I found my thing, and it's been long and winding, and I can't believe I've actually been in the creative industry for over 10 years now. And there's still so much to learn, honestly. I still feel like there's so much to discover and uncover. So that was my route into where I am today.
Well, that's very cool, very inspiring. Honestly, like I can't believe you started off in pharmacology.
Can you believe that? It's so opposite. So that was my spiel. And then Andrea, how did you get into the creative industry and where you are today?
Yeah, so I studied multimedia design at uni. We did literally a bit of everything, from fashion to graphic design and like interiors a little bit as well. So a bit of everything. And it wasn't until the very last bit of the uni degree that we ended up doing a bit of 3D. And it wasn't enough to kind of have a good foundation for actually getting a job. So when I was trying to find a job in 3D, I found out that, I have to learn all of these other skills that require a crazy amount of time and resources. And so I ended up going into a master's degree. And the master's degree was just a short one of like 6 months, but it was really helpful because it was run by a studio in Spain that it was cool because since it was run by a studio that's working currently in the industry, it kind of, the teachers really knew the exact things that you needed to learn for when you then start a job or whatever. And they would actually scout out a lot of people within the degree to kind of work at the studio later on. So that's how I ended up getting into the studio that was organizing that master's. So that was a really, really good opportunity. And I worked at that place, which is called Kuduko, for a while. Like, I think I did my internship there, and then I did my first year and a half there. And then I moved I moved countries to London because Found was interested in taking me on, which was amazing. I literally got that job because I went to this online portfolio review that they were organizing. So I did that, and then basically it was amazing because you got to know the people who are currently working there and everything. So anyway, that's how I ended up getting into Found.
And I remember you telling me before that you and a friend, to help motivate each other, you were doing a project to help you get into the job that you wanted.
Yeah, that was this guy. Well, he's now my best friend, but he was just someone who was doing the course, but instead of in person, the master's degree I was talking about, instead of in person, he was doing it online. And we just started chatting just about projects and stuff. And then after the master's degree, COVID hit. I think we hadn't even finished the masters and COVID had already hit. And so we were literally trying to find a job in the middle of this global disaster. And so we kind of helped each other out a lot. I was listening a lot to Motion Hatch, which is an amazing podcast about helping freelancers kind of navigate finding a job, finding clients, etc. And I just found a lot of the insights there really useful. And one of the insights were to create a sort of mastermind project with someone. So you kind of put together a bunch of people who are maybe looking for have the same goals in mind. And so I kind of did that with my friend. I was like, hey, do you want to partner up and do this thing called Mastermind? I don't even know what it is, but let's do it. And so it was basically like we would join weekly and on a Zoom call or whatever, and then we would just set goals, and we'd make like mini goals out of those big goals, which was finding a job. And just kept us literally going through that crazy disaster.
Yeah, I mean, that's unbelievably proactive of you to do that as well. But just on that note, I found that for me, the pandemic was a blessing and a curse for me to get into this industry, and it was the best because I had all the time to do it because there was nothing else to be doing. So I literally would be learning 6 days a week.
Yeah, that was massive.
But at the same time, studios were not hiring because it was the pandemic. So
Yeah.
the ideal scenario for me would have been to have gone straight into a studio at a lower level, but I didn't have that as an option. And so I had to go around in a slightly different way, but I think it would have sped up my skills faster if that had been an option.
Right. Yeah, it's an interesting point because I guess you have mentors and stuff like that when you start working somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, and just to get back to what you were saying.
So I ended up at Found, where I had another 2 years and a bit of 2 years and a half, I think I stayed there. Really good experience, learnt so much, and then met some really amazing people as well. And then after that, I decided to go freelance. I think it was because I was looking for a bit of a career change. I also wanted to have the freedom of choice to have a little bit of time in between projects, kind of like you was talking about at the beginning when you started out, and you would have that career change because you had the opportunity to kind of in between your branding projects, right? Just work on some different types of projects. So that's kind of why I decided to go freelance, and that's till this day.
What were challenges in your career and how have you overcome them?
That's a good question. Challenges in my career, I'd say definitely that moment of trying to find a job in the middle of COVID. That was kind of crazy. And that mastermind was really the way I managed to solve that one. I recommend. Other challenges, I would have to think about it a bit, but please enlighten me with yours first.
I mean, the list is so long. I just feel like you're not meant to talk about them and only say everything that's been positive and fabulous and great about your career because that's normalized. But yeah, I've had a fair few, and the one on the top of my head is not passing probation in my first 3D role, which really knocked my confidence and made me stop and reflect on what I needed to improve on.
Yeah, that's really hard.
But it did take a while to get back into the swing of it. But yeah, I'm very proud of myself for having hit that moment of despair because it was pretty rough and turn it around in quite a short space of time.
Fair enough. How did you overcome it? Like at the time, I guess it was very painful.
I took a break.
Nice.
I definitely took a break.
Well deserved.
Because I think, I put so much time and money into switching my career that it did feel like quite a blow. But at the same time, it helped me focus on what I needed to improve on. And sometimes you do just need that kick up the arse from somebody else. An awakening, which is exactly what I got.
Yeah, that's very true. Because I've definitely had those kind of awakenings. I remember in my master's degree, my teacher genuinely just told me off a bit in front of everyone. I felt
about what?
Yeah, I just felt way too old to be getting told off by a teacher by then, I think. And she told me off because my homework was shit.
What, the actual work that you produced?
Yes.
But were you aware of that, or were you...
I wasn't. The thing is, like, I came from a more graphic design background, and so everything that I was creating was very 2D, and she was trying to snap me out of that, I think. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it was just funny the way she did it, because I felt very exposed, and I felt like I'd done something very wrong, and so I went home, and after getting over it, I then had a good think about it, and I was like, yeah, I can definitely do better. Actually crazy how much I improved after that.
Yeah, honestly, it's such a blessing in disguise. Like, you have a big cry over it and you feel sorry for yourself for a while, but then you really feel yourself grow, and that's the best part. But yeah, for me, I just took a long old break and didn't go near the computer for a bit, and yeah, I slowly got myself back into it and saw it from a different perspective, started reaching out for other work again.
What was that different perspective?
My different perspective was
Yeah.
that you're good at a lot of things. You just need to work on specific things related to the specific role of a 3D motion designer. And I think because I'd already had a lot of experience in design, it kind of felt even harder to accept possibly a lower role when I had a lot more experience in like the creative direction and branding and presenting. So I had to reframe it and look at it in the sense that, yes, you're strong in these perspectives and these skills, but in terms of others, you need to really just focus on that and really improve on that, and then you will be a lot better.
Yeah.
And then having that realization, I could then approach agencies again from a very clear perspective of, this is what my skill set is, this is what I can offer you, this is what I'm improving on, take me as I am.
Yeah.
And honestly, it works that way. So I feel like from there it's gone slowly uphill.
Amazing.
Uphill. So yeah,
Yeah.
happy days. And what I would also say from the back of that is, I have gained so much from having a mentor and having someone to say, actually, this isn't working, or this looks shit and this is why. So you can really look at things from a different angle. I think it's very easy to get too close to your work and not see the things that are going wrong.
Yeah.
And your eyes can fool you. But when you have someone else to share their opinions, it's completely invaluable. And I think
100%, especially at the beginning, right? Like when you're in that initial learning curve where you're still trying to figure out what actually looks okay, what doesn't, and why, kind of training your design eye now in a different way, which is in a more 3D way, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and it's really putting a spotlight on your weaknesses, and that's completely fine.
Yeah.
And being comfortable with knowing what they are, and then going to town on them.
Nice. I like that.
For you, Andrea, what were the challenges that you've faced in your career, and how have you overcome them?
Oh yeah, true. I haven't gotten back to you on that. So, yeah, I would say, like, when I moved countries, I mean, from Spain to London, from Madrid to London, I mean, it was kind of difficult because I remember feeling really quite lonely at the start, obviously, because, well, moving countries comes with the side effect of missing your friends and things like that. And I think navigating a new job that I was feeling, definitely the pressure to kind of keep the job as well, because of that whole probation period that is common. And yeah, it was just felt a bit overwhelming at the beginning, and it was quite a few months in which I felt like that. So, but then thankfully, I think Off came along, and no, that was before. Anyway, I met Alexa from SK at Off, and she was really, really amazing in that she decided to invite a bunch of girls who do 3D to this brunch, and that's where I got to know a lot of my closest friends from now. And yeah, that just some sort of like a community started to grow, and I started to realize that a lot of people go through the same things that I'm going through, which sounds really, really dumb, but I guess that when you're going through stuff, you try to navigate it by yourself, and you try to push through it. And yeah, I think it's human to sometimes do that, but yeah, it was really good to meet these girls and share those sort of experiences. So I guess that's how it was overcome slowly. I wouldn't say that it's something you overcome completely. Like, there's always going to be that kind of pressure that you go through, but yeah.
I mean, it's a huge one though. You're starting your whole life network again, and
Yes.
a new job in a new country,
Exactly.
fresh. I think I remember first meeting you and I felt like you really grabbed life by the horns.
Aw.
You were so willing to just get stuck in and really optimistic. So I think it's also your personality that has allowed that. So
Thank you. That's very sweet. So I was actually thinking as well, I think it's interesting to kind of talk about this, but what were maybe a moment that stood out to you in your career?
yeah, I guess it's hard to pinpoint specific moments. There's been so many that have kind of changed the course of what I'm doing that have stood out for lots of positive and possibly negative reasons. But I guess the things that have really stuck out with me at the moment and have been more recent are the fact that I've become more aware that I'm in control of my career and the direction it will take, especially now having gone freelance. It's definitely the decisions that you make allow you to have the specific career path. I spent so much time before when I was saying that I freelanced previously, just waiting for things to happen for me, waiting for projects to come in, waiting to work with the people that I wanted to work with. But actually, it's not. It's what you put out is what you get back, and that I now seek opportunities and I reach out for them as opposed to waiting for them to come to me. So that's
super powerful. Yeah.
It's a huge one. And I also think for me personally, what aligns and how I feel more creative is when I am freelancing, to give myself the time for the personal work and for the freedom and flexibility to keep on top of my side projects
Nice.
that really inspire and feed into my professional work. And that time is invaluable to me, and it also keeps me feeling creative and inspired in my career and in the work that I do.
Nice. That's really cool that you managed to do that. How do you, are you capable of rejecting a job?
You know what?
For a personal project, I would find that so difficult.
You know what? I did my first job rejection this year and it felt really powerful.
Wow.
And I felt so satisfied because it wasn't something that was aligned with what I wanted to be doing. So saying no felt really great, especially at a time when, it hasn't been that easy for freelancers in the last year.
Yeah.
But I have to keep reminding myself why I am freelance, and it is to have the time for more personal work. So that was a great feeling.
Okay.
Saying that, I still have a backlog of projects that I want to complete, and I can't wait to do that. So it's still a juggling act, and I still haven't kind of got the correct or figured out the balance just yet. But that will come with time.
Yeah,
I'm optimistic.
No. Yeah. No, but it's hard to find that balance, I think. I mean, I am finding it hard. As in, every job that comes, I'm like, yes, please. Arms are wide open. But also, I do want to start thinking about that. I guess I've just almost done my first year of freelancing. And I think I just kind of set that aside because I wanted to, make sure that my revenue was okay. Take care of that first. But now that I feel that it is, I definitely want to be more mindful about the projects that I take on and the time that I have in between to kind of do those personal projects, because I think it's why we do what we do a bit.
100%. 100%. And it's all the personal work will then lead to client work that is
100%.
more aligned with what you want to be doing as well. So it's all about the work you've done in the past. And if you're only ever doing the same thing, you'll only ever be doing the same thing in the future.
It's part of that thing that you said about kind of being in control, right? Because you're literally curating your own career, you're curating the kind of projects you're going to be on.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of thing. I think is really cool.
Yeah, I think we're very, very lucky right now. And just another point on you saying that, you coming up to a year of freelance, you also have to put in so much time forming solid relationships with agencies and getting your money in check, because that takes a while at the beginning. So there's so many things that you're also juggling to then also throw in I need to be on top of personal work.
Yeah.
It can be a lot.
It's a lot.
And you have a life to lead. So it comes with like years. And I've always thought this. I am so impatient with everything that I'm just surprised at how long it's taken to get to where I want to be and still how far I want to go. And that, yeah, I guess a big lesson that I've learned in the last few years is that you have to have patience to get what you want in the end. It doesn't come overnight.
That's so true.
And it's like, yeah, even to acquire the skills that you want, it all takes
takes
more time than I imagined it would.
Yeah, fair enough. I think I also went through a bit of that when I was, just my first few years. Yeah, just because I thought that I would acquire skills much quicker, but then it's like, no, things take time for sure.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I want to be an art director like yesterday.
It's true.
Come on.
True. Yeah, it feels sometimes like slow motion, but that is the reward, the payoff is just really high when it does happen and you feel very satisfied.
For sure.
And for you, what has been a moment in your career that has stood out to you?
Oh, definitely becoming freelance has been really, really eye-opening. It's just like everything that, I don't know, my eyes have just been wide open since like I started. I'm like, wow, now I can actually curate my time, as we were talking about, like my career and everything. And I have a lot of, just the freedom of choices is endless in both your career and also I think your personal life. Like I've always wanted to travel while working, and that was something that I thought about at school even, and like when I was going to get into uni, like what kind of job I would get into. Then it just became more of a priority of finding a creative outlet, and so I kind of let go of the other bit, the traveling side. And so yeah, now that suddenly I don't have a location that I 100% have to be at, then yeah, I have that freedom of choice to kind of move. And having my family in Spain and everything, and in New Zealand, that's been something that, yeah, I've wanted to make the most of, and I feel, and I'm going to as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the world's your oyster, and it's also just the fact that we're doing this podcast that we have been talking about for a while now, about having the mental capacity to even think about it, to brainstorm. I don't think you're allowed to use that term anymore. But
really? What?
I don't know. I don't think
is it just?
I don't think you're allowed to say that. But anyway, or mind maps. I'm not sure, but we are doing it, and I think freelance allows you to have control over your time, even when that's outside of working hours.
Yeah, you can really tell we're pro freelance, eh?
Yes.
No, but I do think that working at studios is amazing to get that first.
1,000%.
First, and like not even first few steps. I think in general you can make really good career advancements by maybe jumping back into a studio for a different type of role.
Absolutely.
Or things like that. Yeah, I have friends who've done that, and I think it's a great way to go.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say no to going back to full time at some point. I think it's a case of if it works for me and the type of role that I'd be going into. But for this time in my life, it's all about freelance.
Yeah, I mean,
for me personally. Yeah, and
you've only just gotten back into it, so you can't,
exactly
can't leave now, girl.
But yeah, I think some people, certain personalities do just work for full time, and that's also great.
Yeah.
There was one other thing that stood out to me as a key moment in my career as well, which was and has been recently leading teams of freelancers and delivering my first project from start to end. I think the satisfaction you get in concepting, coming up with the ideas, presenting to the client, leading a team with your vision, and then sending the final files to the client is just unbelievably satisfying. Comes with so much stress as well, because it is. There's so much going on. You have to use so many parts of your brain and be on top of a lot of things. And yeah, it's definitely pushed me out of my comfort zone. But how much I've learned and the rewards I've got is huge. So that's a big one for me.
Thank you so much for sharing that with me. Yeah, I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, and if anyone out there has any questions for us, please feel free to reach out. We'll link the email down below. And this is our very first podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back with some more. So thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Thanks so much for listening to this episode.
If you're enjoying the podcast so far, we'd really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe on your favorite platform, be it Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're tuning in from.
We can't wait to share the next episode with you. Bye for now.